but I just signed the largest trade deal in history. I think maybe the largest deal in history with Japan. And that was done with Japan. They had their top people here, and we worked on it long and hard, and it's a great deal for everybody. I always say it has to be great for everybody. It's a great deal.
In a move shaking up Washington and stirring global markets, former President Donald Trump has unveiled a new trade deal with Japan. But this isn't just a handshake or headline. It marks a major shift in U.S. trade strategy that could reshape global economic dynamics. With U.S.-China tensions at a boiling point and American industries seeking relief, Trump's pivot to Japan may be his most calculated and controversial move yet. What's driving this sudden alliance? And how could it impact the 2024 election, global supply chains, and your bottom line? Stick with us. We're breaking it all down. To grasp why this deal matters, we need to rewind a bit. Over the past decade, U.S. trade policy has been unpredictable. From hitting China with steel tariffs to rebranding NAFTA as the USMCA, Trump reshaped America's global business approach under his America First banner, a strategy aimed at forcing other nations to play by new rules. The trade war with China, launched in 2018, triggered billions in economic fallout. American farmers and manufacturers took major hits, while consumers faced rising prices. What started as a trade dispute quickly evolved into a political and ideological standoff. Amid all this, Japan kept a low profile. As one of America's top trading partners and a key Pacific ally, Japan managed to avoid Trump's harshest tariffs, until now. While Trump sparred with other global leaders and ripped up agreements, Japan waited for the right moment. That moment is now. This new deal could reshape not just Asia-Pacific trade, but global power dynamics. Japan might not seem like the obvious choice for a headline-grabbing trade move, but strategically, it's a powerhouse. As the world's third-largest economy and a leader in industries like automotive, tech, and electronics, Japan sits at the crossroads of the Indo-Pacific, a region central to countering China's rise. For years, Japan has been both a partner and a rival. U.S. automakers and tech firms often compete with their Japanese counterparts. Yet Japan's political stability, economic strength, and shared military interests make it a critical ally. With Chinese relations strained and European trade slowing, turning to Japan isn't just economic. It's geopolitical. Japan grants access to advanced manufacturing, rare resources, and markets that still welcome U.S. goods like beef, wheat, and energy. More than just a trade partner, Japan offers leverage, a gateway into Asia, and a counterbalance to Beijing's influence. In this global chess game, Japan is a critical piece. Trump has always known how to turn negotiations into headline events. Whether it's real estate or diplomacy, he thrives on spectacle and leverage. And this trade deal is no exception. For him, it's less about fine print and more about controlling the story. Positioning himself as the only leader tough enough to renegotiate America's place in the world, Trump is using the Japan deal as a political stage. With the 2024 race heating up, he's contrasting his hardball approach with Biden's diplomacy. This deal isn't just policy, it's campaign fuel. This isn't a repeat of Trump's earlier trade tactics. Instead of blanket tariffs, he's now pursuing targeted sector deals. Insiders say the new agreement includes major wins for U.S. agriculture, digital trade protections, and incentives for joint manufacturing. It marks a more precise strategic Trump tactic, one aiming to reclaim U.S. economic dominance without triggering a full-scale trade war. And he's clearly speaking to his base: farmers, factory workers, and small business owners, many of whom were hit hardest by past trade fights with China, are being promised relief. Trump's message is direct: I fixed trade once, and I'll do it again. This time smarter. It's vintage Trump, part performer, part dealmaker, fully focused on shaping the story ahead of the 2024 election. So what's actually in this deal? Though official documents are still under wraps, leaks paint a picture of a highly calibrated agreement aimed at maximum economic and political gain. First, agriculture. For years, American exports like beef, pork, wheat, and dairy faced steep tariffs in Japan. The New Deal eliminates or lowers those barriers over 5 years, opening massive revenue potential, particularly for farmers in the Midwest, who've borne the brunt of past trade disruptions. Second, digital trade. The agreement protects U.S. tech companies from Japan's data localization rules and regulatory hurdles, vital protections in a global economy dominated by cloud services, fintech, and AI. Third, industrial and energy cooperation. The deal encourages joint investments in key sectors like clean energy, rare earth minerals, and semiconductors. It's a direct response to global supply chain concerns, especially from China and Russia. But Japan didn't walk away empty-handed. In return for easing agricultural tariffs, it gained expanded access to U.S. technology, a stronger voice in future trade coalitions, and assurances of consistent American energy exports, particularly LNG. This isn't just a trade deal, it's a long-term strategic alliance, one designed to stabilize industries, attract investment, and help both nations stay competitive in an evolving global economy. As always, trade deals come with winners and losers. While Trump calls it a win for American workers, the picture is more nuanced. The big winners? American farmers. After years of uncertainty, they're now getting access to one of the world's wealthiest markets. For producers of beef, corn, and wheat, this may be the biggest opening since NAFTA. Tech giants like Amazon and Google are also gaining ground thanks to fewer regulatory hurdles in Japan. As digital trade becomes central to global commerce, these protections are key. Even Japanese automakers are breathing easier. Trump hasn't revived the 25% auto tariffs he once threatened, and as long as Japanese firms invest in U.S. jobs, especially in politically critical states like Michigan, they're likely to maintain strong access to American consumers. Still, not everyone's celebrating. Small manufacturers in the U.S. fear they'll lose out to cheaper Japanese imports, especially in tech and electronics. Labor unions warn that weak oversight could mean job losses, and environmental advocates are concerned that increased LNG exports might delay America's green energy goal. Then there's the politics. Critics accuse Trump of bypassing congressional oversight, pushing the deal through for short-term campaign optics. Some Democrats have already promised to challenge or even reverse the agreement if they regain power. In short, this deal brings momentum, but also controversy. And as is often the case with Trump-era policies, the real battle may be just beginning. So how will this trade deal impact everyday Americans? That's the key question. For farmers, it's a clear win. With Japanese tariffs on beef, wheat, and dairy being lifted, U.S. agricultural exports could surge. That means stronger demand, better prices, and potentially thousands of new jobs across rural states like Iowa, Nebraska, and Kansas. For factory workers, the outcome is less certain. Trump promises job creation through Japanese investment in U.S. manufacturing. Early indicators suggest billions could flow into American plants. If true, that would be a much-needed boost for struggling Rust Belt economies that have seen stagnant job growth for decades. Big corporations are already celebrating. Energy and tech giants now have easier access to Japan's tightly regulated markets. Natural gas exporters gain a consistent buyer across the Pacific. Semiconductor firms could benefit from expanded collaboration, and cloud tech companies are seeing hard-won digital protections secured in the deal, something they've pushed for since the Obama years. Still, experts caution that these benefits come with risks. If enforcement lags or currency manipulation resumes, much of the progress could quickly fade. Japan has a history of cautious trade compliance, and critics warn today's gains may not hold in the long term. In short, it's a calculated gamble. It could boost exports, create jobs, and stabilize key sectors, or unravel amid inflation, geopolitical conflict, or economic headwinds. The global response? Immediate and intense. China called the agreement a strategic provocation, claiming it undermines Asia's existing trade systems and directly challenges its dominance in the Indo-Pacific. European leaders are also on alert. With the EU still reeling from post-pandemic supply chain issues and rising tensions with China, Trump's pivot to Japan has sparked fresh debate in Brussels. Should Europe lean more toward the US or risk being left behind? But the loudest reactions are coming from inside America. Congressional Democrats are blasting Trump for bypassing legislative review, accusing him of pushing the deal for political gain ahead of 2024. Senator Elizabeth Warren has already promised hearings on its labor and environmental implications. Meanwhile, Trump's base is energized. Conservative outlets praise the deal as proof of his global leadership edge. GOP candidates have begun echoing the message, using it to frame Biden's foreign policy as weak and indecisive. Even Wall Street is taking a second look. Previously skeptical analysts are now acknowledging Trump's more targeted, strategic approach, shifting from sweeping tariff wars to calculated bilateral deals. In one bold move, Trump has reignited the global trade conversation, fired up his political base, and divided Congress. If he makes it back to the White House, the world may face a more refined, tactical version of his America First strategy. But this trade deal is about more than soybeans and semiconductors. It's about strategy and elections. Trump knows economic victories resonate with voters, especially in America's heartland. By focusing on agriculture, energy, and manufacturing core drivers in key battleground states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Iowa, Trump is strategically rebuilding support where it matters most. These are regions hit hard by factory closures and farm losses, and this deal sends a loud message. I haven't forgotten you. Interestingly, his tone this time is more measured. Instead of fiery rhetoric, he's framing the agreement as mutual and fair. It's a deliberate shift designed to appeal not just to his base, but to independents and moderate voters, those wary of economic instability, yet drawn to strong, results-driven leadership. This deal sends a clear message to world leaders. A second Trump term could look very different. More calculated, more refined, and possibly more effective. Advisors close to Trump are calling it the first step in a larger America First 2 strategy focused on revamped trade policies, selective deregulation, and distancing from globalist institutions. In that context, this agreement with Japan is more than a trade pact. It's a strategic signal. Trump isn't just campaigning, he's evolving his message and influence on the world stage. At its core, this deal reflects a deeper shift in US policy and global strategy. Even out of office, Trump continues to influence international economics, deal by deal. But this isn't just about diplomacy or headlines, it's about everyday lives. Will America double down on bilateral trade to outpace China? Will Japan become our key ally in Asia? And perhaps most importantly, how will this impact your job, your wallet, and your future? This isn't some far-off negotiation. It touches your economy directly. As the 2024 election nears, trade is set to become a central issue once again. And this Japan deal? It might be the flashpoint that reignites the entire debate. Because in today's world of fast-changing alliances and fierce economic rivalries, one question looms larger than ever: who can make the best deal? If you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. We'll be tracking every major move in US politics, because what happens in Washington, Tokyo, or Beijing shapes your future.